Well, we are back again, and I have a most incredible lady with me. I have Elizabeth Valvano with me, and Elizabeth, she plays in an orchestra, um, concert orchestra in Las Vegas, and I'm going to find out exactly what this all is because you mentioned an instrument that you play, which is a long wooden instrument.
It is, yes.
What was the name of it?
It's called a bassoon.
It's called a bassoon. I've used the word bassoon, but I don't think I've used that word. You know, sometimes in England, I hate to say this, but we'll turn around to somebody, oh, don't be such a bassoon. Now, no, I did not know. It's a long instrument. You blow into it, or?
You do, yes, with a double reed, like an oboe.
Like an oboe, with a double breathe?
Yeah.
We're getting very technical here, so we're going to find out. And that's why she's on the show. Elizabeth is absolutely lovely. You are beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. So, with this baboon thing, what made you go into using this particular instrument?
I was kind of forced into it.
Oh!
Yeah, I wanted to play the flute.
Oh, okay. So,
you know, a little bit of a size difference.
Yes.
But there were enough flute players my year in the beginning band in 6th grade when it was time to choose an instrument. So they said, you know, you'll be good on the bassoon. And
you just as a little girl said, okay, all right, well, you didn't know.
I had no idea. I didn't even know what it
was. Now I do. Because it's fascinating. So when you were first introduced to this, you wanted to play the flute, so were you a bit disappointed, or you probably didn't even know? You were probably just happy to get into the orchestra.
I was a little bit disappointed, but I was happy because there weren't as many of us, so there wasn't quite as much competition.
Oh, so you took the high road. Yeah. You took the high road and said, okay, I'm going to go for this.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was a challenge. It's a difficult instrument.
I was going to say, how you said a double breath or something. You were talking about.
It's a reed.
I've got only one breath. I don't know. Maybe I do. I can use two. You use two breaths.
It's a lot of pressure. So there's pounds per square inch of pressure is required to play the instrument.
Okay. And is this a long instrument that sits on the floor? Does it sit on the floor or does it just go straight out?
You have a seat strap, so you sit and then it rests a lot of the weight on it.
So it's a heavy instrument.
It's a little bit heavy.
I'm sure that we've seen them. I'm sure because I used to go to orchestras when I was a young girl. So I'm sure I've seen them and been with them. So how long does it take you to learn to handle this thing, first of all? Because you've got to handle it, right? And it was very strange to you. So
it is very strange. And you learn the instrument as you're growing up. So you're small, playing this very long instrument, and it's a bit of a challenge, and so you're growing.
You're growing into it.
Exactly. And so, I think you really start to excel once you've finished growing.
Yes.
And then you
don't have to adjust. The instrument's not growing. You're growing into it. It's staying its size, fortunately.
Yeah, it doesn't get any bigger.
I mean, they don't start you out with a smaller one. They start you out with exactly what it is.
Exactly, yes, that size. Yeah, we have a baby version, but it doesn't play quite as well.
No. So when you got this and you have a little place head that you blow into it, what was that experience like?
You can feel your kind of brain rattling around.
Am I playing this? Is my brain rattling?
Yeah.
It's kind of waking you up.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So can you play, I guess you can play any song, any symphony, because you play symphonies, right?
I do.
So you play any symphony you want with this thing when the music allows you to come in. I mean, you don't play all the time.
I don't play all the time.
No. So when you're in the orchestra, because I know that in orchestras, we all know this, that there's certain instruments come in which make the song, or whatever it is. So do you come in that often, or is this particular instrument used that often in an orchestra?
Well, it's a very ancient instrument. We have been around since the Baroque era, so mid-1600s. And so, so it's been used quite a bit. It has this beautiful, unique color that can blend with any instrument. So composers really love using it in a variety of ways. We'll play alongside the strings, but we'll also play with our fellow woodwinds, even with the brass.
You even can play with the brass, with the trumpets and all that stuff.
Exactly.
And when you do, because you've got the composers that bring this instrument in, so they have this feeling of the brass, and then they bring this instrument in. which makes it a little bit more exciting and probably, obviously, very different.
Absolutely.
So what sort of composer would have brought this in?
So, I mean, either Bach would have
Bach.
been writing.
Oh,
yeah,
heavy.
Mozart.
Mozart on Light?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Mozart's Moonlight is one of my favourites. They're probably the world's favourite.
Yes, of course. Yeah, Beethoven would have written
Yes.
a lot
Yeah,
for
Beethoven,
Bassoon.
yes. And
Yeah,
then we got Mozart, we got Beethoven, Tchaikovsky.
absolutely. Oh, yeah, some great work by Tchaikovsky. So even Stravinsky,
Stravinsky.
Sibelius.
So you're bringing up all these names. I used to know all these names when I was a little kid. Absolutely amazing. So what brought you into the classical music? Or was it just the instrument that brought you in, or was it something that you kind of desired?
I've always studied music. I started on the piano
So you
when
play the
I was
piano
very
as
young.
well?
Oh, not anymore.
Oh,
But I
okay.
started with it
But you still can play?
passively. Enough to
Get by.
demonstrate. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, it would be to be one step ahead of the student, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And it just kind of stuck with me. I have some of my family is musical, so I can see
In the
how,
classical side of
in
it?
the classical. Yeah, I have a.
So
a
you were
French
brought
horn.
up
Yeah.
in the classical side of it.
Definitely.
You really, who's your favourite?
My favorite musician,
Yes,
composer.
Probably
Mo-
many of them.
I mean Mozart. You know, I have to just
Mozart
yeah,
is-
stick with the
is-
classics.
Yes, stick with the classics. You like that. Have you ever composed anything yourself?
It's funny you would ask. Only in cadenzas. So a composer like Mozart would write a bassoon concerto,
Yes.
and there would be a moment where we would be allowed to play completely by ourselves.
Really?
And yeah, in that moment, I have written my own little solo moment.
Oh, how
Taking
wonderful.
moment, yeah, to taking little fragments of what Mozart wrote
Yes.
and growing on my own.
And then bringing your own feelings into it and your own notes. What sort of notes do you have? Is it the same as a piano note?
It's the same as the piano.
The
Yeah,
same as the piano note, so you can go along with that. So when you did do this, and you allowed yourself to do this, did you make it sort of louder or softer, or what was in your mind? I mean, because you've got to be creative to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about the colors.
Oh, colours.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring different colors to the different moods of the music. Early on in music composition, in the Baroque era,
Okay.
composers really had an idea of the different scales evoking different colors.
Colours
So,
as in colours.
as in colors.
So like an orange would be this,
Exactly,
and a
would be
yellow
G
would be
major.
that, and a light blue would be softer, a pink would be petals. And
Yes, absolutely.
interesting. Because I always thought just artists, just painters did that. You know, they bring in the colours, and I had an artist on last week, she had all these bright colours, and obviously that's a mood you're in. You're feeling vibrant. You're feeling colours. But when you're playing an instrument, you're now thinking of colours. I always thought you thought of sound, but sound is colour.
Because we have so many options for different tones
Yes.
that we can create on the bassoon. And if we can exploit that, then we begin to create this idea of color through different tones. So we can have a bright tone and a dark tone that can translate to
And you
almost
go
a color palette.
from a dark tone, which is sort of a louder tone or a harder tone, and you can take that into a soft tone and bring it down. Oh, she loves it.
That's it. That's it.
Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever thought of composing a bassoon, just the bassoon piece of music?
More and more so recently.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. So how are you going about that? Because you could do that by yourself at home. You don't need Would you need another bassoon, or would you just play it on your? Because you could play it on your own, like a piano.
I would play it on my own. Basically, getting into a space that's really inspirational, and then hearing what sounds good, playing almost random notes, and being like, "Oh, I like that. Write that down."
Yes. So as you're playing it, you can keep a note or discard a note. Oh, no, it doesn't really fit. That doesn't fit in with this. Do you find that the colours kind of bring in to the next note, a color will bring it like very loud, and then all of a sudden you're very soft, and then you translate and come back up again.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because our job as a musician is to demonstrate to the audience what we're thinking about, what our process is to create just some random notes on a page.
And it's like creating. Now this is like computers. They create things in computers, not music, or maybe sometimes music, but they create. You know, take Facebook. They've got this going and that going and this going. It's the same as a bassoon. It's the same idea as of getting your brain working, as of going into what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
So how long would it take you to kind of write something like this? And how long would it have to be? Would it have to be playing for 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Because I'm thinking of a CD of how long it takes. Or would people get kind of bored of... We don't want to get people bored, so we want to keep it going.
Well, that's the trick. And so I would try to, think about it like making an Instagram reel. If you don't have them captivated within the first 15 seconds, they're going to scroll on to the next thing.
Oh, you're right. If you don't, you're absolutely right. I use 1 second. You've given them 15 seconds.
Right, but
And if you don't capture them,
they're going to go on to the next thing. They're not going to play they're not even going to bother playing the piece.
So how are you? Because I know you want to do this. You haven't done this before, right?
Not extensively like this.
Not like this. So how would you do it? Would you open up kind of loud or soft, or because you've got to grasp them. So boom.
With something interesting. I mean, like a multiphonic, something that is a really high range or low range of the instrument that the audience wouldn't necessarily be expecting.
Yes.
That they wouldn't be expecting,
Yes.
like a sound that's not conventionally bassoony, so that then they can, then be like,
distracted.
Oh, what is that? Yeah. And thinking like, what instrument is that? What am I hearing? What's going on? How are they doing?
Because this would come under classical music anyway. So anybody going to this particular website or Instagram or what, it would be definitely under classical style. But I think Instagram is spasmodic. It comes up. You'd have to definitely put a name in there. So you put a name in there, bassoon?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and then every translation of bassoon, fagotto is what it is in Italian. And so I would be sure to include that as well.
So you'd have a whole website. Do you have a website already?
I don't have a website. No, I've just been functioning off of social media.
Just social media. So have you ever, because I love your idea, so have you ever thought about putting a website together? Because I've never heard of one. Have you looked up to see if there are people that have websites with bassoons?
There are a lot of personal pages, so showcasing what people are doing. What I would really love to do is I do a lot of arranging. So I don't write my own music, but I take really popular music and I will put it into a bassoon choir and then perform it. And I would really like to make those arrangements available for anybody to download and be able to perform themselves.
Isn't that wonderful? So you want to do you ever teach this bassoon thing?
I do.
Oh, you are a teacher.
I am, definitely. I love to teach.
You love to teach. What's the reaction? So how old would be the youngest person to teach?
A 6th grader, 11, 12 years old.
11, 12 years old is when they start. Is that kind of the age they start to piano? Well, piano they start much younger, but like violin and all these different things, when they become serious. Is it serious? They become very serious at that age.
Yeah, when their brains are developed enough to be able to handle the concept of discipline enough to practice every day.
You're going to practice every day. Well, that's like anything you go into as a young age.
It's true.
And the more you practice, the luckier you become.
It's true.
So lucky, yeah, but you haven't practiced like I practice. And it's true, practice makes perfect. And it absolutely is true. So you teach at a school, or do you teach where do you teach?
I teach at UNLV.
How wonderful.
I do, yeah. I also teach at the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts.
Oh, okay. So can we put those names out there where they can find you if they want to join?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Put that out. Can you explain where it is and how they get hold of you?
So I am well, you can search for me at Liz Valvano, and then all of these contacts come up so that then you can reach out and be able to
so
take
Liz
lessons.
Valvano, and she's at the the University of Las Vegas.
Yes, of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Nevada, Las Vegas, you can reach you there. And what's the name of the orchestra you're in when you do play, or do you play in different ones?
I play in different ones, but I am in the Nevada Chamber Orchestra. We actually have a concert coming up on May 8th at 3 p.m. at the Summerlin Library. And it would be wonderful to see you there. I would be playing a solo with the orchestra.
Oh, how wonderful.
Thank you, thank you. I'm so excited.
I'm not sure. This is not your first solo, though. You played.
It's not my first.
No, but you like to play this. When you play a solo, how long is it? Is it 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Well, it depends. My last one was about 15 minutes, but this one will be about 12. 12
minutes of you just playing. So you take the whole... She's now in charge of the stage.
Yeah, I get to stand in front of the orchestra, and they get to play with me, and it's such a wonderful collaborative experience.
It must be. It must be. I can see the look on her face. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So these are things that sort of you work for, right?
Oh, yes. Very hard.
And the orchestra you're in at the moment, do you have anything set in mind that you would like to be in this particular orchestra eventually, or do you like where you are?
I like where I am right now. The Las Vegas community takes such good care of me. You know, I get to play with the Las Vegas Philharmonic in the Smith
amazing.
Center. You know, and it's incredible.
Oh, so you play at the Smith Center, the Philharmonic. She's just mentioning all these things casually.
Well, I'm just a sub, but I get to play pretty regularly.
You're not just a sub. You're Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're definitely Elizabeth, and you bring such a sparkle to classical music. And is classical music very big in Vegas? Because we've got all these wild shows and all these performers, and then we've got classical music, like ballerinas, the same thing.
Right. It's bigger than you'd think, but we have declined a lot since
COVID.
Since COVID, and since the Strip doesn't hire as many live musicians anymore, which they should.
See, listen to her. But we like to see them live,
right?
We don't like to see, all this, we can be at home and have that.
Exactly.
Whereas you really do go out to see live performers, and I think that's a big thing missing in Vegas, the live performers. I think we definitely need them back again. It gives a whole different aspect out there, a whole different, place out there.
It does, and it's great energy for the visual performers as well, to have live musicians accompanying them.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Elizabeth has been amazing. She's opened up this whole new classical arena, which is absolutely fabulous. And as you said, what was it, May 8th?
May 8th, Mother's Day.
May 8th, Mother's Day, at the library, 3 p.m. in Summerland. Okay, and we'll see you there. Hopefully I'll come up and see you and
thank you.
Be there. But thank you so much for coming. It's been absolutely amazing. You never know what's going to happen with Vegas Live with Ninon. We go all in different directions of it's not always just people singing and dancing. It's also classical music as well. So don't forget to tune into YouTube and see all our shows. We've got loads of different shows there. We've been doing this for 7 years now, so we've got quite a few shows. I will say the shows at the beginning maybe not as good as the shows now, but they're still me. What can I say? I just get better as I get older, I guess. Whatever. Like all of us, practice makes perfect. We'll see you on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to join. And don't forget to check out social media shows. That is my producer. Take care. We'll be right back with the next guest. You take care.